Talking with the experts.
In episode 298, Ranya Akacha will tell us how we can create our ideal business.
I'll quickly just explain how it became that. It kind of was a evolution to becoming that service. So initially we started off doing business coaching, as a lot of ex-business owners kind of do, get into coaching. And what we found is a lot of business owners never had the time, not all of them, but a lot of them didn't have the time to actually implement all the stuff we'd be talking about in the coaching session. So talk about all these great things, they'd take lots of notes, they'd agree to all these, things to implement, but then they'd get back into the office or into the wherever they were, and it was back to day-to-day stuff. And someone's called in sick, or something else has happened, or some other fire has come, and they haven't been able to implement. So we'd meet the following week or fortnight or month, and nothing's happened. So we were getting frustrated. I imagine they were also getting frustrated. So it started with, well, why don't you give me access to that system and I'll run that report for you, or create that report for you? Or why don't you let me run the management meeting this month so I can show you what I mean about holding a team accountable? Why don't you let me put the KPIs together for your team? And it's kind of grown from that to being completely that service only, that consulting piece. So we do offer a little bit of coaching, but majority, 90% of what we do is the hands-on, actually getting in there and doing the work. So
welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And we as business owners want to create our ideal business. And so what does that look like for you? Everyone is different and has started their business for different reasons. And sometimes those reasons are forgotten along the way. And people fall out of love with their business. And my next guest, Ranya Akacha, has strategies to put in place to help you fall back in love with your business again, and get that feeling of go-getting and motivation back. And Ranya is originally an accountant by profession, and she bought her first business, which was a beauty salon, at the ripe old age of 20. Since then, she has bought, grown and sold 3 other businesses, all in varying industries. And she found that business ownership can feel really lonely at times, even when you have a business coach or a mentor supporting you. So when she sold her last business, she decided to help other business owners reduce their loneliness and enjoy their businesses again. And she offers a part-time general manager service for small to medium enterprises. I'd love to talk to her about that. And so they have someone senior in the business to confide in and talk to, as well as to help business owners plan and come up and implement their business strategy. Welcome, Ranya, and thank you so much for joining me today.
no problems. Thanks for having me, Rose.
So why did you decide to help other business owners, fall back in love with their businesses?
I guess throughout my journey, I got to meet a lot of different business owners while I was owning businesses, and I would be part of, masterminds and groups, and a lot of people were doing things that they weren't enjoying anymore in their business. So I felt that there was a real need for some support in that space. And I was lucky enough to be able to transform my business in a way that I was doing what I loved doing majority of the time. It wasn't all the time, but 90% of the time I was waking up super excited to go into work. And I just wanted to be able to have everyone else do the same thing and replicate that strategy, I guess.
Yeah, it's similar to why I started the podcast. Is sort of just at the beginning of the pandemic, and I realised a lot of business owners were closing their businesses, and didn't think that, especially a lot of bricks and mortar ones, and didn't realise that they could transform to an online business.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, let's just get a podcast going and let's talk to other business owners and see how they're faring and how they've managed to transform into an online environment. So yeah, and so it's just been going great guns since then.
Oh, that's great. That's great. There's definitely a need out there.
There is, yeah, I have found that. So I guess I would like to talk to you about your service that you offer. So a general manager service, what does that actually involve, and how can business owners become involved in that?
So I'll quickly just explain how it became that. It kind of was a evolution to becoming that service. So initially we started off doing business coaching, as a lot of ex-business owners kind of do, get into coaching. And what we found is a lot of business owners never had the time, not all of them, but a lot of them didn't have the time to actually implement all the stuff we'd be talking about in the coaching session. So talk about all these great things, they'd take lots of notes, they'd agree to all these, things to implement, but then they'd get back into the office or into the wherever they were, and it was back to day-to-day stuff. And someone's called in sick, or something else has happened, or some other fire has come, and they haven't been able to implement. So we'd meet the following week or fortnight or month, and nothing's happened. So we were getting frustrated. I imagine they were also getting frustrated. So it started with, well, why don't you give me access to that system and I'll run that report for you, or create that report for you? Or why don't you let me run the management meeting this month so I can show you what I mean about holding a team accountable? Why don't you let me put the KPIs together for your team? And it's kind of grown from that to being completely that service only, that consulting piece. So we do offer a little bit of coaching, but majority, 90% of what we do is the hands-on, actually getting in there and doing the work. So it's kind of like that outsourced CFO model. I don't know if you've heard about that too much, but we're kind of trying to replicate that, but more in the operational space of the business. So that general manager, operations manager space. So it's really, we allocate half a day a week to the client. We go in there, we be based in their office. So we're part of the team, and we just take off some of the responsibility of the business owner, usually the things they don't like doing so much, or they're not naturally good at. We'll take that off their hands and that'll be our KPI. So we essentially have a job description and responsibility list, and we're just another part of the team, really, just a part-time part of the team.
Wow, that's a really much needed service, and kudos to you for thinking of it.
Wasn't just me, and my husband as well, so he's part of the business too. So he named it, actually. We call it Dynamic GM. So that's our service that we offer.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's a really worthwhile enterprise, to be honest. I think a lot of business owners would relish the thought of using that service so they can free up some more time for themselves, because, we know as business owners, yeah, it does get lonely. And you're right about the coaching sessions. I'm very guilty of that. Take all these copious notes and, yeah, that looks really great, and I'll do that by next week. And then, all the fires start, and then you think, oh my God, I haven't even done anything. So the night before you're rushing, and don't devote the time to it that you can or you should. So
yes, absolutely. And we saw that time and time again. I think, I guess we just felt like we could add so much more value than just talking about stuff. Like, let's actually just roll up our sleeves. And we were wanting to get back into another business, but we just didn't know what kind of business we wanted to get into. So now we're, part of, 20 different businesses, which is a lot of fun. So every day we get to work with different businesses and get to work with different people and different issues. And we've been able to even invest in a few of these businesses because we've just loved working with them, love the team, love what they're doing. So yes, it's been a great journey so far.
Oh, well done. So I guess, we all know that being an entrepreneur, business owner, whatever, can be really, really challenging. And you're right, it can be lonely if you're stuck doing all of the tasks yourself sometimes you just don't have the dollars to outsource some of the tasks that you don't like. How can people, again, fall in love with their business if, they're stuck in a rut?
Well, I like to bring it back to why they started the business in the first place. Like, what was the passion there? Is it, because they're super creative and they wanted to create, be creative, or was it because they love this product that they sell? Or what is it why did they start that business? And kind of go back to that. And what parts of their role currently do they actually enjoy doing? What parts they don't enjoy doing? And start to create that ideal role for them in that business. So to say, I know you're moving up into CEO role, which is generally what everyone kind of moves to, is the owner generally moves to CEO role, but you don't have to be the CEO. You can be the chief a creative director, or you can be whatever title you really want to be. It's your business, right? So it's about creating that ideal role for you, and then having that enough support structure around you to do all the rest of the stuff that needs to happen in the business. And it doesn't have to be that you're the CEO. You don't have to be the one managing people. You can actually hire people to come and do that for you. So it's just, I think it's about creating that ideal role firstly, like coming up with all, like, what's your day-to-day going to look like? Are you working full-time or not? And then having sort of a timeline to actually get there. So, okay, over the next 12 months, we're going to move to this role. Like, obviously it takes time because you've got to find the right people, you've got to outsource, or you've got to, create systems or whatever you need to do to actually get rid of some of those tasks, etc. So that's how we start with clients to begin with, is why did you start the business in the first place? And what's your ideal role? What would you like to be doing day in, day out? There is going to be a small portion of your time that you're going to be doing stuff that you don't like possibly, invoicing or something along those lines that you might not enjoy so much. But hopefully we can outsource, that you're doing 90% of the time you're doing stuff that you enjoy, and 10% of the time maybe you're doing things like having a difficult conversation with a staff member, etc. Very small amount of time is the plan.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Sometimes though, it's, when things come crashing down, or you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, it's hard to find the why, or to remember the why. I find sometimes you think, oh my God, I've got another day of this or that or something else, and it becomes a little bit overwhelming. And I sometimes forget why I started my business and my podcast. And I think you're right. It's good to be reminded from time to time that, why you started and why you became passionate about whatever it is that you're doing.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's good to have someone that sort of holds you a little bit accountable, I think.
And I think it's also important to talk about your personal goals as well as your business goals, because they intertwine. So maybe your personal goals might be that I want to go on a 6-week holiday every year, but I haven't been able to go on a holiday for the last 10 years because my business needs me so much. So that would be one goal that we could work towards. Okay, next year we'll aim to go on a 2-week holiday just to start with, and sort of grow from there. So I think that's important too, is to align what your personal goals are to what your business goals are, and what you love doing. You get the trifecta.
Yes, yeah, and sometimes it takes someone from outside, with fresh eyes, to look at the things that are good about your business. Really, sometimes, especially if you forget, and you do share those personal moments, and
Yes.
And sometimes fresh eyes is always a lot better than you staring at something and not seeing the wood for the trees, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I think taking someone out of their business for a couple of hours just to talk strategy, to talk future, to talk growth and all of that is a good way to do that too. So physically getting out of the day-to-day and actually being based somewhere else, even if you have to go away for the weekend, or even if you have to, just getting out of the business physically, I think helps as well, just to be grounded and to work out exactly what you want to do and ideal. So we try to do that from time to time, is take the owner out of the business and go and think and strategize elsewhere, so it's kind of fresh.
Yeah. So you're not staring at the same four walls that you're staring at every single day, and fresh perspective.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So I guess, how can people, find you to work with you? Because this is a really great service.
So our business is called Real Business Matters. So we're quite active on LinkedIn. We have a website. So feel free to check us out in either of those places. We have 3 other consultants working with us at the moment. So there's 5 of us in total that are all dynamic GMs with very different, skill sets. So we'll align the right GM to your needs depending on what you're looking for, or what tasks you're going to be handing over to that GM. They're all seasoned GMs that have been GMs for a really long time, have also owned their own businesses. A couple of them have actually sold their own businesses in the past as well. So very experienced people that can come in and kind of hit the ground running. And there's a process as well. With that strategizing process is the initial part of what we do. And then we talk about how much time you're going to need and for how long. And there's no sort of long-term lock-in contracts or anything like that. We work month by month with everyone. So it's as you need us, really.
Yeah. So what would be the first strategy other than the contact, strategy call? What other things would business owners be looking at if they were to employ you?
As in to prepare, or as in?
Yeah.
Oh, so the first, so initial, we have like a business assessment. So we send a questionnaire out, we find out a bit more about the business and see if it's the right fit for our services. Because sometimes people just need an extra person, like an extra admin person or an extra to relieve the stress on them. It's not always our service that's required. So based on that, we'll say, okay, I think we might be able to be the solution for you, or actually the solution could be X or could be Y, and here's the people to talk to about that. So there's a business assessment, and then we have the discovery session. So that's a deep dive, sort of a couple of hours to talk about their current role in the business, what their ideal role looks like, what the future looks like really for their business over the next 5 years. So it's a really deep dive. We create a 90-day plan from that, and we allocate tasks to ourselves in that 90-day plan, so everyone knows what everyone's doing. So there's tasks that we're doing, there's tasks the owner's doing, and there's tasks the rest of the team would be doing. And that's all documented in a 90-day, very detailed plan. So that happens. And then we get started. We choose the package, I guess, that suits them most. So there's 3 packages to choose from. And then we get started. We allocate the right GM and get started on the project or on the process.
Oh, geez, sounds really simple.
Well, that's good. It's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great service, and I think you should clone it and put it in all the states. It'd be really good.
We want to. So plan is next year we want to open a Melbourne office is the plan. So we want to go national at some point, but it's get there eventually. It just takes a
good luck with it. I think I think it will go really well. It's more than just a VA service. It isn't a VA service. It's much more than that.
Yes.
It's actually, you get your own, private general manager that you have part-time, and, it's great, I think.
And, there's been times where we've worked with businesses long enough for them to get to a point where they need someone full-time. They actually need a full-time GM or operations manager. And we'll actually let you know. We'll say, you know what, we can't do this a day a week anymore. You actually need someone here every day to manage the team or whatever the focus is. And we'll help onboard them. So we've got, connections with recruiters, so we can help bring on a general manager that suits the team and onboard them and all of that as well. So we don't see ourselves as a forever solution. We see ourselves as an interim solution till the business is big enough to require that senior level support full time.
Wow, amazing. Ranya, if you were to offer someone some advice, what would it be?
A business owner?
Mm.
So I would say relook at your structure in terms of what you're doing versus what everyone else is doing. Work out what your 5-year plan looks like. What does your business look like in 5 years? What do you want to be doing in 5 years? Are you still working full time at that point? Do you want to sell the business within that time frame? Like, what do you want to achieve? It doesn't have to be locked, set in stone or anything like that, or locked away, but it just gives somewhere to go. It gives you somewhere to aim towards, and it might change along the way, but that's okay. And then create a very detailed 1-year, sort of 12-month plan about how you're actually going to get there. So divide it into 5. So say in 5 years' time, I want to be working 3 days a week. I want to go on 2 holidays a year, and I want to whatever. And then from here to there, what are the steps that you need to take to get you there? And what's 1/5 of that? Let's try to achieve that in the first year. And how can we do that? So is it outsourcing? Is it automation? Is it, all the different things that you could possibly do to get rid of some of those tasks that you're doing, to change the structure potentially of the team, to give more responsibility to the current team. A lot of the times the current team does have capacity, and you can just switch them around and work out who's got what strengths and give them more stuff to do. So doing that exercise, I think it's really important, just thinking about 5 years. And 5 years sometimes hard to imagine, but try. Even if you can do 3 years, whatever you can do, but try to imagine a few years down the track and where you want the business to be, and then work backwards from there. So you actually have something to work towards.
Yep, good idea and good strategy and great advice.
Oh, thank you.
So for anyone that's listening or watching, please reach out to Ranya at realbusinessmatters.com.au, especially if you're looking for a general manager service for your business. I think what she has developed is a great opportunity to grow your business and help you to fall back in love with it. I'm sure Ranya will have some ideas for you on how you can do that. Ranya, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Rose. Thanks so much for having me.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.